hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to welcome all of you to our community. Thank you so much for being a viewer and subscriber. Let me just lower this a little bit. Just a little bit. There you go. I think that's good. Hi, everybody. Howdy. Welcome to our channel. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I want you to know that I appreciate you being a viewer and subscriber. I'm going to give you a quick update, a very comprehensive update, which is what you're accustomed to receiving on our channel of all the things that they are working on right now. They are essentially going to go through some final hurdles right now as we speak. I'm going to do a quick audio sound check here. Okay, good. So you guys can hear me. So that's good. All right. So here's what we have going on, everybody. I'm going to give you a detailed status update on what's going on and what final hurdles they are working on right now. Number one, they may need to extend the funding of the government by a day or two up until the weekend in order to buy a little bit more time to work these things out. I would still be cautiously optimistic. I do believe that what's happening right now is encouraging. I actually heard the remarks of the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on the floor of the Senate today. And I'm going to give you some specific details about what's likely to be included, what's not likely to be included, what they're arguing about right now. I just want to be clear, I remain cautiously optimistic that we will have a stimulus package in the next 2 to 3 days and it will be signed. But they are talking about an extension of government funding for a couple of days. And if necessary, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and all the other congressional leaders will work through the weekend to bring us close to a consensus. Here is where things stand right now, everybody. I'm going to give you all the details and let's just jump right in. Okay, so let's get started with the extension of evictions, the eviction moratorium. I've had a lot of questions about that. The Democrats want an extension of the moratorium on evictions, but the Senate Banking Chair, Mike Crapo, who's a Republican from Idaho, he basically spoke with Mike DeBonis, who covers Congress for the Washington Post, and he said he's trying to avoid the need for an extension of the eviction moratorium by providing money for rental assistance, because there is money. There's $25 billion for rental assistance, and that is something that the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has taken credit for and said, hey, I did it. The moratorium on evictions ends this month, as you know. So there's that. And they're still working. Both Chuck Schumer and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have said that the deal is very close. In fact, Mitch McConnell said that we are at the 1 yard line, and Schumer seems to be a lot more optimistic than the Senate Leader McConnell. Both are saying it's going to get done, so that is definitely encouraging. Here's a quote from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell: "We're going to stay here, right here, until we are finished, even if that means working through the weekend, which is highly likely." Well, I think they owe us working through the weekend since they made us wait this long. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell did say that we are at a fork in the road, and he said that we are at a point where we can stay on and get it done on the fast track or drift back into partisanship and bickering. I do believe, I'm confident that they'll come to a consensus. He said the stimulus negotiators are, I quote, on the 1 yard line. That's what he said. I'm not sure if I care for football analogies right now. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said, I hope so, when he was asked if a deal is coming today. And he said, we may need a short-term funding bill to avoid a shutdown tomorrow. Keep in mind that if we don't have a government spending bill with a stimulus bill by tomorrow, the government effectively shuts down. And that's why they're thinking of a short term. Remember last week they extended government funding by a week. They're talking about maybe extending it by 2 more days and then giving themselves time to work it out. Honestly, they should have worked things out by now. And, it's been months. So John Thune, the number 2 Senate Republican, from South Dakota, says that he thinks a short-term funding bill, which is 24 to 48 hours long, is a real possibility. So let's just hope that that doesn't happen. If they don't figure this stuff out in the next few hours, everybody, they will need a continuing resolution to continue to fund the government. So let's hope it doesn't come to that, because we need this done. We need it over with. House Speaker Pelosi said we've made some progress this morning and are waiting to hear back. And House Speaker Pelosi always says that we've made progress. So she also said we'll let you know. So there's, that's pretty cryptic right there. And Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was on the floor of the Senate. He actually, and this is encouraging, he was commending Democrats for working together with the Republicans. So I think a deal is very close. I want to make sure that our viewers and subscribers understand the final hurdles. Number one, Republicans want a limit on Treasury and Fed lending programs. They don't want to, just let everybody get money. Democrats want an extension of a deadline for state and cities to spend CARES Act money. They're now sort of talking about the fine details, because I believe both sides think that if they don't work it out now, then they'll never work it out. So they're working on the smaller things, the big things. The stimulus checks, the unemployment benefits have already been agreed upon. But now they're arguing about the small things before signing, before passing the bills, and before the president signs it into law. The Democrats want FEMA money. Remember, money from FEMA, the agency that helps us deal with hurricanes and other natural disasters. Remember, President Trump used FEMA money to pay the Lost Wages Assistance Program. You remember that? Back in a different day and age, back in August, September this year. I covered that extensively on my channel. Democrats want to use FEMA money to help states and cities. That's what Democrats want to do. They also want money for live venues, entertainment venues. So, pretty interesting ask there from the Democrats. And hopefully we don't have government funding until Sunday, because we really need this wrapped up. Now, let's talk about stimulus checks and what's likely to be in the bill. This bill, as of now, based on the latest information we have, is going to include $600 stimulus checks plus $600 per child. Okay, number one. Number two, there is no cap. No cap. If you've got 10 children, you'll get $6,000. I don't know why. I have 2 children. I can't keep up with them. So 10 children's a lot. The adult dependents will qualify. Unlike the CARES Act, adult dependents will qualify for this extra $600 check. It will be the same threshold as the CARES Act for the stimulus check. Remember, the CARES Act was, once you start making more than $75,000 a year, you get a smaller stimulus check. And if you make more than $99,000 a year, you don't get a stimulus check. It's going to be the same as that. So I want our viewers and subscribers to know, hey, listen, I'll be happy when you guys get a stimulus check. And I've always been in favor of those who need help the most. I never got a stimulus check because I didn't qualify, and I don't want a stimulus check. I'm doing this because I want our viewers and subscribers, those who need help the most, to get the stimulus check. My income is above the threshold to get a stimulus check, and I never got a stimulus check, and that's okay. For me, this is about trying to help our viewers and subscribers. And so it looks like the stimulus check will have the same phase outs as the CARES Act. And something that Senator Marco Rubio wanted, a mixed status family bill, which had something to do with the immigration status. Let's say a US citizen is married to a non-citizen. That mixed status family bill from Senator Marco Rubio is going to be incorporated into this. So I'll give you folks more details about that very shortly. But let's hope we don't have a stopgap funding bill. Republicans are opposed to FEMA money and opposed to basically are opposed to extra money for state and local governments, because they don't want that money to be wasted. And again, folks, we are at a fork in the road right now, and the talks have still not wrapped up. They're still talking about the $1 trillion bill ahead of tomorrow's deadline. Remember, there's a deadline tomorrow, and there are multiple disputes that are still unresolved. But they are nearing the finish line, but it's still not over. Honestly, based on all the trends yesterday, not just me, but many reporters thought that this would be a done deal yesterday. But guess what? This is Congress. Nothing is a done deal until it's a done deal. There are disagreements on who's eligible to get stimulus checks, how to spend money for healthcare, disaster relief money from FEMA. Should it be used for state and local governments or not? That's still a point of argument. And winding down the Federal Reserve's emergency lending program is still a point of contention. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said this today on the floor of the Senate. By the way, I'll provide you with his comments on the floor of the Senate in our next video, because we do have that video clip. The Senate Majority Leader said every side faces a fork in the road. Do we want to lapse into politics as usual and let negotiations lose steam? Or do we want to haggle and spar like this was an ordinary political exercise? He said, or on the other hand, after months of action, do we want to move swiftly? I believe he meant months of inaction because there was no action. Do we want to move swiftly and seal the deal? Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer added that while many, if not all, of the difficult topics are behind us, a few final issues must be hammered out. We are very close to we are very close to an agreement, but the details really matter. So it looks like everyone's sort of nearing the finish line. The Senate Majority Whip John Thune, Republican from South Dakota, he's the number two most powerful Republican in the United States Senate after, our best friend, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He's your best friend, right? Let me know in the comment section below if the Senate Majority Leader is your best friend. Let me know if you send him letters, if you're going to send him chocolates for Christmas. And this is what John Thune said, the Senate Majority Whip John Thune from South Dakota. And I see you folks are smiling and laughing. I see the comments. He said, it's looking like more and more of a real possibility. We'll have to do a short-term spending bill. Guys, don't worry about that. It's okay. It just means that they need more time to work stuff out. What that means is, last week they extended it by a week. Now they'll extend it by a couple more days. And then I see a comment saying, he's my nightmare. This is the United States government in all its glory, in all its agony. These are okay, folks. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was, I just want to be clear, was re-elected by the people of Kentucky and was chosen as a majority leader by Republican senators who hold a majority in the Senate. Therefore, he is a Senate Majority Leader. Welcome to the United States system of government, everybody. So anyway, let's get back to Senate Majority Whip John Thune. It's looking like more and more of a real possibility. We'll have to do a short-term spending bill. We want to keep the pressure on as long as we can. I hope it won't be more than 24 to 48 hours. I really think this is coming to a close, but as you know, once you get the agreement and you're drafting up, the language matters. So comments from the Senate Majority Whip John Thune. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, I think House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's favorite word is progress. She always says that. We made some progress this morning, waiting to hear back. I do think her next favorite phrase is testing, tracing, treatment. Let me know if you think that House Speaker Pelosi's two favorite words are progress, and the second is a phrase, it's not a word. Testing, tracing, treatment. Testing, tracing, treatment. Testing, tracing, treatment. Testing, tracing, treatment. I'm just trying to make you smile here because, that's the best thing to do in this situation. One of my favorite shows, MASH, Alan Alda, kind of shows you how old I am. I'm 42, I'm not that old. Alan Alda said in MASH, if you don't go crazy once in a while, you'll go crazy. I love that. If you don't go crazy once in a while, you'll go crazy. And I'm trying to make sure that our viewers and subscribers don't go crazy and I don't go crazy. So, all right. So, the Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, the Democrat from Illinois, who, by the way, said in a pretty emotional speech to on the Senate floor that I plead with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Check out one of the videos on our channel with the title "I Plead," and you'll see his rather emotional speech. And a lot of our viewers and subscribers who saw that video, go to our channel, youtube.com/ignition time, and search for I Plead, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And a lot of people basically, were like, it was emotional. It made a few of our viewers and subscribers cry. So, Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, Democrat from Illinois, said that the leaders didn't open the session tells me they must be doing something this morning. I'm hoping it's on COVID, meaning stimulus. Basically, he's saying that I know they are working. I hope they are working on the stimulus deal. He said everyone has a strong appetite to pass the omnibus, meaning pass the government spending with stimulus. And he said pass the omnibus and go home. That is Dick Durbin. So we're talking about a new round of roughly $600 stimulus checks, unemployment benefits of $300 a week. The latest information we have is it'll be 3 months, not 4 months, from the end of December to the end of March. Your question is it going to be retroactive? It's going to go from the end of December to the end of March. No more retroactive beyond that. That's the information we have right now, unless something changes. It'll have money for vaccine distribution, $325 billion for small businesses and money for transportation. vaccine distribution, and it looks like it's going to be combined with the omnibus spending package. House Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer held a call late last night with their best friend, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. Best friends, House Speaker Pelosi and Stephen Mnuchin, not. And so that's continuing. And we have the Republican negotiators were opposed to a $1 billion, just $1 billion, but Republican negotiators were opposed to a $1 billion pot of money for FEMA to deal with COVID-related emergencies. That same money, Democrats are pushing back against the Republicans' desire to wind down lending programs from the Federal Reserve. So, guys, they're trying to get a whole lot of stuff done. They're trying to get a whole lot of stuff done at one time, which is interesting, because honestly, the two things that really matter are the stimulus checks and the and the unemployment benefits. But they're trying to do a lot at one time. So I wanted our viewers and subscribers to know that they have cited significant progress. There are still some sticking points, but they are optimistic that something should be passed very soon. Guys, this is coming down to the wire. See, here's the interesting thing about government. This Friday, tomorrow night, is a funding deadline for the government, which is why they're trying to get something done quickly. Have they had any urgency prior to this? Well, they did in March. Let's be clear. Congress came through for the American people in March, but then when the benefits, the $600 a week, ran out in the end of July, they left us hanging. They left us hanging in August, September, October, November, December. President Trump did have the Lost Wages Assistance Program. Guys, but it was never meant to be a replacement to the $600 booster. It was not a federal program. It was an executive order. So yes, that was something. But my point is, Congress, meaning the House and the Senate, left us hanging. They left us hanging in August, September, October, November, December. Okay? So, and what's ironic is that now, because of the government funding deadline, all of a sudden everybody wants to act and do something before they go home for Christmas. So, super interesting. Lawmakers are haggling over a few things, like I told you. And here's the interesting thing. The lending programs. Now, by the way, this is where we blur the lines between stimulus and politics. Listen, this is important. Lawmakers were haggling over demands from Republicans to limit the emergency lending programs run by the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve. Keep in mind, the Federal Reserve is a lender and the United States Treasury is the spender. So the Federal Reserve says, I shall give you money at low interest rates. And the United States Treasury says, I shall send out stimulus checks based on an act of Congress. I shall send out unemployment benefits to the states, and states will give it to their residents. Right? Now, listen, because Republicans want to curtail that, Democrats believe that these provisions, by the way, these provisions have been led by Republican Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania. Democrats believe that these provisions would limit the ability of the incoming Biden administration to provide more stimulus, to provide more lending. Because now if the Biden administration wants more money, they have to go back to the House, they have to go back to the Senate. And if Republicans control the Senate, which is why Georgia is so important, then again, it's, we're going to have to make sure that our Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is on board. You see, so all of these mechanisms are at play. But one thing is for sure, if the Democrats win both seats in the Senate, we are very, very, very likely to see another stimulus package next year. In fact, the Democrats have repeatedly said that this is just, in fact, President-elect Joe Biden said this is a down payment. So there are a lot of aspects to the story. Toomey told reporters that the issue was a bright red line for him. In other words, he wasn't going to back off. And John Barrasso, who's a Republican from Wyoming, also called the language on the Federal Reserve lending facilities, I quote, critically important. So these folks are still arguing over those little things, everybody. And here's another thing. Mike Crapo, like I said, Republican from Idaho. I just want to make sure you folks understand this. Democrats have insisted on an extension of the federal eviction moratorium that is set to expire at the end of this year. Okay. Now keep in mind that extending the federal eviction moratorium doesn't really cost the government anything, but it does create new challenges for landlords, right? But the Democrats wanted to extend it. But the Senate Banking Chair Mike Crapo, who's a Republican from Idaho, told reporters today that he was seeking additional rental assistance to, I quote, avoid the need for extending the moratorium. A 1 month extension in the moratorium was included in the bipartisan compromise, but Mike Crapo said the question is whether there is one needed, meaning the eviction moratorium. And he said if we can get an adequate rent assistance program, we don't need to extend the moratorium. And Chuck Schumer apparently has a pet project. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, has a pet project. His pet project is a $17 billion plan called Save Our Stages to, I'm quoting here, to devote federal assistance to venues shut down by the pandemic and at risk for permanent closure. Now, I don't, I probably shouldn't have said pet project because it sounds like it's not important. But Chuck Schumer is championing the cause of venues that were shut down by the pandemic, and we know lots of venues were shut down by the pandemic. Some senior Republicans think that this is excessive, it's unnecessary, and think that it's better to spend the money instead of live venues to spend the money on restaurants and the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a crucial program for small businesses. Let me know if you agree. Pretty interesting dynamic. Pretty interesting dynamic right there. So let me know if you agree. And Schumer has been pushing for funding. Schumer has been pushing for funding for restaurants and a second round of PPP as well. So I guess Schumer's like, let's have it all. And the Republicans are like, nah. We can't do everything, So this is the fundamental ideological difference. John Thune, the Republican from South Dakota, the number 2 Senate Republican, also told reporters today, I think the Federal Reserve Authority, there's a really strong I think the Federal Reserve Authority, there's a really strong interest in making sure the door is shut, and that's a big priority for a lot of our members. Basically saying we want to limit the lending programs because we don't want there to be an excessive amount of money, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to pay all of this back. So comments from John Thune, the number 2 Senate Republican. He's a Republican from South Dakota. So, behind Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So a lot of things are in flux, everyone. Keep in mind that, again, House Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer spoke with Rachel Mnuchin at 10:30 p.m. last night, 10:30 p.m. East Coast time, and they agreed to continue talking as of this morning. Schumer said on a floor speech today, everyone wants to see this get done, and soon none of the remaining hurdles cannot be overcome. Yeah, so interesting comments. And finally, several Republicans want further limitations on the ability of the Federal Reserve to intervene, because they don't want there to be, they want to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible. So all of these things, believe it or not, are being wrapped into these negotiations. Keep in mind, guys, the CARES Act was well over $2 trillion. We're still talking of well over $2 trillion in money. Out $1.4 trillion is for the government funding. So they're taking their time with this because they want to appease everybody, because this needs to get the support of a vast number of Democrats and Republicans so it moves quickly through the House and the Senate. We don't have time for this to get stuck in the House or the Senate, because of a couple of lawmakers. So I think they're trying to appease everybody, and then they're trying to make sure that all of this happens. They've talked about $300 a week in additional benefits. Now, keep in mind that originally I had talked about 3 months of benefits, right? Actually, I take that back. Originally, I had talked about 4 months of benefits because that was reported. Then it was down to 3 months because they made room for the stimulus checks. Are you ready for a new bit of news? Don't blame the messenger. I'm reporting what's emerging from the Senate and from the House. New reporting suggests that these benefits would last 10 weeks, which is less than 3 months. So new reporting suggests that these benefits at $300 a week would last for 10 weeks instead of 16 weeks. And this program, again, was scaled back to free up money for the stimulus payment, which was a late addition to the program. So they compromised, guys. They compromised. In fact, John Thune also said yesterday that he wanted individuals who were getting unemployment benefits to not get the $600 stimulus check. He called it a double benefit. He called it double dipping. So all of those things are happening right now. This legislation will not be retroactive, will not go back go back because the $600 a week booster expired at the end of July. Unfortunately, it's not going to be retroactive, and Republicans are seeking to require that beneficiaries from the federal unemployment benefit, receive these benefits, and so they are coming to a consensus. But 10 weeks, guys, 10 weeks. In fact, there were some Republicans who wanted to provide at least $100 per week. Democrats are like, no, we need to stay at $300. So $600 per person stimulus checks, like I mentioned, instead of the $1,200 with the CARES Act in March, $600 per adult and $600 per child, same income threshold as the CARES Act, which I mentioned earlier, and full payments to those who make less than $75,000 a year. Payments become smaller, and once you cross $99,000, you're not going to get anything. And Thune actually, again, John Thune suggested to reporters that lawmakers were considering lowering the threshold to keep the cost of the provision down. What that would mean is lowering the threshold. This is just an example. This is not what they are talking. Right now, they're talking about the same provisions as the CARES Act, $75.99. But if they lower the threshold, let's say they lower the threshold to, let's say, $50 and $75, that would mean that those who made less than $50,000 a year would get the full check. 50 to 75 would get a lower amount, and above 75 would get no check. So John Thune, the number 2 Republican from South Dakota, wants to lower the threshold. He wants to lower the threshold so that they give less people stimulus checks. Because remember, if the threshold is, if you make between 50, right now the threshold is if you make under 75, this is the CARES Act threshold. If you made under 75,000, you get the full stimulus check. 75 to 99, the check phases out. Above 99, no check. John Thune said, let's lower the threshold so that we essentially have to pay out less money. John Thune, the number 2 Senate Republican from South Dakota. Bernie Sanders continues to push with Josh Hawley for a second round of $1,200 stimulus checks. But, I want to be clear, Bernie Sanders specifically said, I will not support lowering the threshold. So if Bernie decides to stand in the way, the whole thing could be blown up. So Bernie has said that he's not going to stand up for that. And finally, let's get back to Marco Rubio. This is the final part of it. Senator Marco Rubio from Florida, his legislation was to give stimulus payments to US citizens and their families, even if they are married to non-citizens. So this has not yet been finalized, but it does look like that this would impact the way stimulus checks are distributed, and adults who are claimed as dependents would be eligible for checks, unlike the CARES Act. And also Marco Rubio's, again, provision that stimulus payments should be made to US citizens and their children, even if they are married to non-citizens, is likely to make it into this final stimulus bill. And I want to be clear, John Thune yesterday suggested that individuals who are getting unemployment benefits should not get stimulus checks. But today, he seems to back off a little bit, presumably because he must have got a lot of pushback from other lawmakers. And it was, I just want to be clear, this proposal from John Thune was unanimously rejected by Democrats. And therefore, John Thune's like, oops, I guess it's not going to work. So in case you're wondering whether you can get unemployment benefits and stimulus checks, the answer to that question is yesterday it was looking doubtful because of John Thune from South Dakota and his concerns, the number 2 Senate Republican, powerful figure behind Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. But today, it looks like because he got a lot of pushback from Democrats, you're likely to get both. We still, guys, I do want to temper your expectations. We still have to wait for the bill to pass the House and the Senate, but we are almost there. We are at the 1-yard line. That's it, everybody. Listen, I hope you learned something new from this video. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to quickly see if there are any comments here. But yeah, I think we have everything. All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I've given you the most comprehensive update you're probably going to get anywhere. All I ask is you please click like, please subscribe, please smash that like button. Don't break your screen, don't shatter your screen, because if you shatter your screen, you're not going to be able to watch our channel. Guys, don't shatter your screen. But seriously, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. Please share this video with 2 friends or family members. I will be releasing videos to help you make more money, save money, and invest money. That's very important. So we are never, ever, ever dependent on the government again. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I'm going to stick around for 2 minutes to see if I can. If no, talks have not stalled. Talks have not stalled, guys. I don't know. I don't know if any of you have been in a heist. Have any of you been in a a $2.5 trillion negotiation? Have any of you been in a $2.5 trillion negotiation? Guys, imagine haggling over something at a yard sale. Okay, you're buying something. They want $40. You want to give them $20, and you haggle until you maybe settle at 30. They're haggling over $2.4 trillion. This is a huge bill. Okay, are they late? Yes. Should they have done something a long time ago? Yes. But guys, this is normal in any negotiation. Both sides walk away from a negotiation getting something that they wanted and giving up some things. These are the final stages of a negotiation. If anyone tells you talks have stalled, no, they haven't. If anyone tells you this is going to happen within the next hour, no, it's not. This is normal. This is the way government works. And by the way, please don't fall victim to other sources on YouTube that say approve this, that, and the other. You're going to get the full picture. You're going to get the truth wherever that might lead us on our channel. So let's see. All right, guys. That's it, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Again, please click like, please subscribe. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much. Take care and bye. I appreciate you all.